ourselves and let everybody know how almost close we are to handsome, or you just... Hey guys, this is Almost Handsome.
Hey boys
here.
and girls. Well, my name's Jeff Eisen.
And this is 2F Seth, and I started my own gaming channel about 2 years ago.
Yeah, and now it's doing pretty good, but I'm going to unsubscribe because you're posting too much of your own quality content. I don't like it.
I'm sorry. I've just kind of, Mountain Blade and Skyrim are my things. And
yeah.
If it bothers you, then you're just not my friend anymore, and that's the way things are going to have to go.
Okay, so anyway, welcome to the Handsome Cast, the very first episode. We kind of wanted to do this thing for... We wanted to do it for a while, but I don't know, we never really got around to it. Then when we hit 50, I guess we kind of thought, hey...
Maybe people will actually watch this and enjoy it. It's like starting up a podcast or starting anything where, like, the only form of content is your voice or something you're saying. It's almost like selfish, like you're just saying, like, hey, listen to us, we're this interesting, you can listen to us talk for 30 minutes and be entertained. And even if you aren't, this is just something that we've been wanting to do for a long time.
Yeah. Because
we like podcasts like a Super Mega and Sleepy Cast.
God, I love
Sleepy
Super
Cabin.
Mega. But I never actually listened to
Sleepy Cabin?
Sleepy Cabin that much. You keep telling me to, and I mean to, and I never do for some reason.
They're all animators, so like they've all been content creators for a really long time and have gotten into their own specific fields for it. And they're so unique and hilarious. It's just fun to listen to how personalities like that mesh, you know?
Is Oni on that one?
Yeah, most of the time.
Because I like Oni a lot. He's real funny.
Like,
real funny. Okay, so anyway, we have a few topics for this thing. We quickly scribbled them down on a whiteboard behind us right now, right before we recorded this. So Seth, what's our first topic?
It looks like we're just going to talk about like how we got started with this channel, and I guess you initially came up with the idea, so you should probably bust it out with.
I've thought about this for a long time, like how we would describe it, and like we both had the idea. None of us had just ever. Me or you had never really approached each other because, like, when I asked you, you had said, "Oh, I've wanted to do this for a long time."
Yeah.
But I remember because I was playing a hockey game in northern Kentucky, and I just got out of the game, and like, honestly, when we're playing a game that doesn't really matter because that game didn't really matter, I think a lot in my head, and I was thinking about YouTube and stuff while I was playing hockey, and so that was pretty. That was weird.
Yeah, it doesn't sound easy to do.
No, and so I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what, 2F Jeff's a whole lot of fun, and I love it, and I want to keep doing that for as long as I can, but I was like, but it's not as, like, creative as I want it to do, because I'm just sitting down, recording a game, and I'm not the focus, I guess you could say. It's the game.
It's also like you don't write everything that's happening on screen. You aren't like the full centerhold of entertainment. A lot of what they're watching is the actual gameplay of what you're doing. Your voice is entertaining, and the things that you're saying that's creativity.
It's just reaction.
Yeah, you want to be able to like express yourself. Yeah, I totally get that.
And so what happened? Like I got out of the game, and like I put my stuff in the car, and we were driving to go eat somewhere, and I texted Seth. And it was like December 4th or something like that. Like it was 2015.
Right around 6 months ago.
Yeah. And I asked him, I was like, okay, would you be interested in starting like a sketch comedy channel? And within it, like Seth usually takes a little bit to respond, but within an instant you responded and you were like, yes, I want to do that for sure. And I was like, okay, awesome. So we started discussing it and stuff, and I was like, I already have some ideas, and you were like, I do too, and we started discussing. And then I was like, well, what are we going to be? No, you asked. You were like, what should we be called? And I completely blanked on the name, and that's where you came up with like 6 names right off the bat.
It's because like I've been fantastic. It's like initially, okay, so like freshman year, I learned how to play piano, and at that point I knew how to play guitar too. I've kind of forgotten now, but anyway, I really wanted to be in the whole like band thing with Sam Mullins, and so like we'd had like 19 band ideas, and like we'd come up with like fake managers. Like Nathaniel was gonna be our manager, and Jordan was gonna be the drummer. We were all gonna learn how to play that summer, and so like that was back then. We came up with a bunch of different names for that. And Almost Handsome really wasn't one of them, but it was just like a lot of the time I'll think of names like that just because I got in the habit of doing it back then. And as far as the actual jumping on with this channel and everything involved with it, I'd wanted to do something on YouTube for like so long. If anybody wants to go back and check out my initial, I guess, shots at that, you can go look at a SINU64, SINU64.
I don't even know if I've seen these videos.
The classic Lego.
Let's react to them on the channel.
That sounds.
Oh no! I saw these videos. I remember these.
These are the ones. Whenever I was really big, and me and Bonsi.
Yeah. And I gave you all ideas.
Oh yeah, you actually did. Yeah, because we've known each other since elementary school.
Yeah, that's why we started this channel. Like we were
We've been friends for a long time.
I love you.
Let's kiss. They can just listen to the sounds of that for 20 more minutes. But anyway, he texted me and he's like, "Hey, do you want to be part of this channel? I was thinking about doing like small skits and eventually big skits, maybe even some serious stuff." Mm-hmm. And like I just like lit up because YouTube is something that is, I guess it's easy to start, but it's hard to get good at. And Jeffrey already had his channel. Like I watch 2F Jeff a lot, and I've always been interested in it. And I always thought it was really cool that he did it. And so like he had all this knowledge about how YouTube works and how to build like a fan base and just like, the ins and outs of content creation.
Yeah.
And I've always had a lot of ideas of stuff I'd like to do, but in execution, that's harder to do without somebody who already knows how to do it.
And like in contrast to that, like I brought that to the table as like, and I'm not trying to like sound cocky or anything like that. I'm just
no,
like,
you knew how to edit, and you knew everything about YouTube, and you were good at it already.
And I needed something that like worked like with a sketch comedy channel, like because one of the biggest things about YouTube is like you have to do your own thing. You can't if you copy somebody else, you're gonna get lost in the thousands of channels that are just copiers of other channels.
The same thing, yeah.
And people aren't gonna find you interesting, and so I was like, I need something new to bring to the table, and I thought of like, well, what if we had like little music at the very beginning of every single like video, and then like we had original music on our channel. We didn't just rip it offline. And so that's what made me think of Seth, because you had told me a few weeks before that you were making music, and that completely shocked me. I was like, Seth's making music? I didn't know about that.
I've always been kind of private about like anything creative that I've done. It's kind of, to bring it back to what I said earlier about how it's almost selfish to say, hey, look at me, I do this. I've always felt that way about anything creative I do. Like if I show anybody, I'm always super nervous about it, because it's like, even if I'm like confident in the fact that it's good, that makes it even worse for me, because then I'm like, oh, they're gonna enjoy this, and then they're gonna say it's good, and I won't know how to react, and I'm gonna feel so awkward trying to say, hey, look at this, I did this, look how good I am. Because even if I know it's not like that, but it's like it's almost like I'm saying, look at me, this is good, and I never like doing that. And that's another reason I really like this channel, is because being able to do it with somebody else just takes away all of those nerves. Like, it's, like, so relieving to be with somebody and know that even if you are to, like, go out there and just completely bomb, like, we make a skit that's absolutely terrible.
Which we have, not terrible, but we have taken down a skit before.
It was a messy skit, like, And but we got crapped on by all of our friends and people who liked our channel.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say crapped on.
Not crapped on, yeah. I'm not trying to call them out or anything. That wasn't mean. They just told us honestly, which is exactly what we needed and what I'd want.
Yeah.
And it's just that, like, if you were alone in that would be so discouraging and disheartening. But because we talked about it together, it was more like, okay, well, next time we really just have to get our asses in gear and try really hard in doing these things.
Yeah, it really inspired us to make the next skit, which I believe was Cop Skit.
Was it Cop Skit after that? I feel like there was one in between.
There may have been one in between, but that's whenever we sat down one day. We were in class, and we just completely knocked off that class. Like, we didn't do anything that day, and we just talked about what we could do with Almost Hanson, make sure that doesn't happen again, stuff like that. And so, like, we talked about, like, we came up with rules, and, like, this kind of ties into the next topic, which is the comfort zone. But we'll get into that later. But we came up with rules, like, whoever writes the skit directs it. Because the problem that we were having was we would write the skit, and then we would get, like, input from each other, which, like, I'm not saying, like, I don't want Seth's input.
And it's not like we don't do input to this point. It's not like...
It's not
like while we're shooting, we'll still go back and forth and stuff. But before, it was like, I guess both of us sort of like to be in control with things. Mm-hmm. And so, like, that
was one of the hardest things for me, was like to give up some like control, because 2F is all me. I edit.
Exactly.
If I write anything, I write it. I do everything myself. And so there was a good side and a bad side to it, because like I'm just now getting to the point to where I can say, like, I can't do this. Can you do it? Like, I asked Seth to make a thumbnail for the very first time, like, for Fruit Crate 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was the very first time.
No, we did it for, it wasn't Fruit Crate, it was the Why Aren't You Laughing?
Well, you went ahead and made that one. You asked me if you could make it, but the first time, because I had like 3 2F videos to edit for a backlog, and I was like, I don't have time, I need Seth's help. So I texted him, I was like, can you make this? And like, because I'm always afraid, like, it's not going to turn out the way I want it, but, like, then I forget that, like, other people have their own styles that work, and, like, so Seth's style of thumbnails are different than mine, but I feel like they work better for Almost Handsome, because my thumbnails work better for gaming videos, because that's what I've been practicing with for, like, 2 years. Your style of thumbnails works better for our videos, because this is, like, the channel that you really put the most work into, and so it really works. And so that's when I was like, I'm not alone in this. And like when we first started, I was like, I gotta do this, I gotta edit, I gotta like write these skits, I gotta do all this stuff. And then it was like, I'm not alone. I have somebody like with me to help me out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And it takes away any criticism that you get. It's like you can talk about with that person and what you need to improve instead of just letting it fester and hurt you. And like, it's so nice to know that on any front that you can't cover something that Jeff, or at least for me anyway, that Jeffrey can for me. Like any place where I feel like I'm kind of venturing out of my comfort zone, Jeffrey's always there to pick up the slack, and then we work together to make something that we both enjoy.
Yeah, yeah, and like that's the good thing about it, because like I'm very, and you can attest to this, that like there's been times when I've been too nervous to shoot skits because I'll think like, oh, what are people going to think of this? Or there's just people around. Like our very first skit, there were people around, and I get so nervous, and I don't know what that is about me, but I have severe stage fright and different things. That's why YouTube's so great. It's because I don't see people who watch the video. I just make the video and then I put it up and I don't have to watch it. Like when I played guitar, one of the reasons I kind of stopped playing guitar was because there was a year, like an annual thing that every single student of this guitar instructor had to go and sit in front of the other students and their families and play a song. And I played it and I did fine, but I was shaking. You guys can't see it right now, but I'm shaking my hands.
Just thinking
like,
about
and I
it.
was shaking. Yeah. And like just talking about that for some reason brought up some sort of like shakiness. And, but that's one of the things that I struggle with. But like with Seth, he really doesn't care about that stuff. Honestly, I've noticed. Like it's not that you don't care.
No.
Yeah, you know.
I've just got stories about this. I'm going to say, yeah, exactly. Keep going.
It's not that I don't like that he doesn't care. It's that he knows that those people will look at us for a second and then kind of go back to whatever they were doing. Like we had a skit that we may still. I'm talking about the bank one. We may still do this one. But good Lord, was I nervous that day. There was do you want me to explain it, or do you want
I can explain it.
You can re-explain it.
And even if we reshoot it, I mean, they'll just if anybody watches this and then sees it go up, they'll be like, oh, I get that.
Understand, I was petrified of shooting this skit. And in hindsight, it was okay to be petrified because what we were doing is illegal.
It doesn't look good, but like,
we could have been shot if the cops were not in the mood to deal with anything that day.
It was like we came up with like, okay, so the whole point was we had this pun. Like, we always say shoot whenever we talk about, like, recording for skits.
It's a shoot day.
Yeah, like, we're gonna go shoot this. And like one of our friends,
shoot day.
One of our friends was kind of, like, picking at us. And, he was like, what are you guys gonna go shoot up a bank? And it wasn't funny. But we thought, well, it might be funny if we actually say, hey, let's go shoot this. And then we get out with guns and pretend that we're gonna go shoot up a bank in front of an actual bank.
Oh, God.
And, like... And that day we brought both of our girlfriends along because we weren't going to have very long to shoot because Jeff had lacrosse practice at like 6 and we started shooting at like 3:30.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got out of the car with guns and Jeffrey was just like so unnerved at the thought of getting arrested because of having guns. And both our girlfriends were like near tears. And it's just like, I guess... I just wasn't nervous because I feel confident in my ability to explain to somebody, even if they're like a police officer, like, hey, we're just doing this. Please don't worry.
Yeah.
And if we get in trouble, I was like, okay, guys, I'll take the full brunt of this. It's my idea for a skit anyway, and it's my props. I can say,
but like,
this was completely my idea. I dragged them into this. We're not causing any actual harm.
Yeah. And bank was closed, too.
Yeah, exactly. It just like a cop car drove by or something, and that was just like the straw. That was like the straw that broke the camel's back. That was too much. Just the thought.
Do it. And like maybe one day, if we do grow, if we do continue this, which I have no reason to see why we don't, but it's just like maybe one day we'll reshoot that, and we'll actually have like we'll call the bank, or we'll like have like just a set. Like maybe one day we'll do that, and we could reshoot that video. But at that moment in my life, I was like, I can't do this. But that, back to what I was saying, was like Seth will push me through that stuff, and that's why like the cop skit was able to become a thing, was because normally in our videos, Seth is the one who is kind of like, I don't want to say like out there, but you're the bigger comedy aspect of it, I would say, like personally to me.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, your characters aren't like the same every time. Usually I play like a laid back, normal, just kind of like
relaxed,
reserved person. You're kind of like out there and stuff like that. But then in the cop skit, that was flip flop because I wanted to be like, you know what? I want to try this. And I wouldn't have tried that ever.
Yeah, exactly. And that could have been our best skit. Most people love that one.
I think it was great. Because we shot for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, God, that took forever.
We got out of school early that day.
It was also, that was the first time we ever shot without, like, for anybody that's been watching us since the beginning. I know Dr. Bevan, you're out here listening to us right now. Whenever we were shooting, up until the cops we always did it alone completely. And even if, like, people would be there, we just wouldn't get them involved.
I guess our very first skit had people in the room with us, but we didn't let them talk.
We like didn't talk to them at all.
No,
we're like, hey, just go.
Skit.
It's like it kind of goes back to that control thing. Like, we just don't want to put it out there because, like, all of our friends, it's weird to say, but we have a very, very creative
group.
Almost like a hive mind group of, like, just not hive mind in the sense they all think alike, but a hive mind and there's all these different ideas buzzing around, and they're all so creative and wonderful in their own way, and they all have input that they want to say, and none of them are scared to say it. So, like, to invite that many people in, it's always scary because, like, your idea might be the one that isn't even good enough to make the skit, and one of your friends who isn't even involved with the channel might actually have a better idea, and it's like, it shouldn't be embarrassing.
Yeah, I understand exactly.
But I don't want to call it embarrassing, but it's like,
we're trying.
I wish I'd thought of that. They're better than me at this. I wish they were doing this.
Anytime we have, like, all of our friends are funny. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But anytime we have specifically Dagan with us, that makes me not want to shoot that day.
Yeah,
it's because Dagan's hilarious. Dagan's one of the funniest people I've ever met.
We have a friend named Dagan, and he is literally the funniest person I've ever been around. Like, adult.
And, like,
child comedian. Like, I've hung out with comedians backstage before, and he just blows them out of the water because he's got this natural quickness to him.
He's smart too, and he can draw
he's so intelligent.
Things. Like, he's a big historian, and so, like, he can draw in history jokes that most people wouldn't know. But, like, I don't know.
He's got such a good memory too, and he can, like, like a lot of comedians are really good at connecting one thing to another. Dagan's mind is just always taking one thing and plugging it into the outlet of another, and just nailing these jokes just constantly. And so every time he tries to,
and so, like, anytime we shoot, he's not trying to, like, put us down. He's just making jokes. And, like, for the SS video, the short and sweet video, we went to our local Kroger. And he was making jokes the whole time, and I turned to Seth, I was like, this makes me not want to shoot today. Like, this makes me think I'm not funny.
Dagan was funnier than that skit. Yeah, just being around Dagan made me laugh way harder than that skit.
Yeah, he was way funnier. That makes me think, well, maybe Dagan should help us write skits. I was like, but it's not, it's our channel, we shouldn't do that. And I was like, I had a small existential crisis because I was like, what am I doing? Is it wrong? Is this okay?
Should Dagan be handsome? We're almost there. Dagan's just handsome.
Yeah, exactly.
But, like, this is kicking it way back to, like, 20 minutes ago, but the whole stage fright thing.
Yes.
See, like, going into this, I figured that it was going to be kind of the opposite because you'd done hockey your entire life, right? And you'd always been up in front of, like, these big crowds of people and just performed and done so well. And, like, I've done various different sports and extracurriculars for my entire life. Like, whenever I was little, I did basketball and archery and soccer and basketball again, and I did football in middle school. Yeah. But only, like, 2 of those that I've said I actually ever finished out the season. Because, I get so nervous just with the thought of, like, performance. And even now, I'll finish this story first, then I'll talk about that. But, like,
you're fine.
I'm really... This is going to sound arrogant, but I always do, like, really well in practice.
Yeah.
Like, above and beyond, I'll do, like, as good, if not better than my team.
Yeah.
And no matter which sport it was, I would always do better or really well in practice. And then whenever it would be time to perform, like, the pressure was actually on.
Yeah.
And people were watching me, and I knew that anybody, like, my parents couldn't even come to the games or anything, or the meets for archery. Oh, and fencing, too. Fencing.
Yeah, I forgot that you fenced.
Fencing, that was one of the ones I finished out. I loved fencing, but... Anyway, I'd always get so nervous whenever it, like, came to, like, the time where I needed to perform, and I'd always choke just super hard.
Really?
Yeah, and then, like,
I've done that before.
Like, junior year, I got into competitive video games with Super Smash Brothers. I play Smash 4 competitively in Kentucky.
That's and sorry for interrupting you, but
no, you're fine.
That's, the first, like, because, like, I've seen you play basketball before, not, like, at anywhere, but, like, you never go, like... But, like, what am I trying to say here? Like, you make it obvious that you're not trying to show off because, like, you don't want to.
I just won't take risks.
Exactly.
And that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, but in Smash Brothers, that's, like, the first time that I've seen you, like, maybe do a move or... I don't play Smash Brothers.
Just watching it.
Like, when I watch you all play, you'll do something that may get you killed completely, but even after that, you don't regret it. And so I definitely think that that's one of the better things for you.
It helped with confidence, but at the same, like, on that same... can't think of the right word here. I guess on the same subject. Like, I'm really, really good at friendlies with all of our friends. I could be the best at friendlies in our friend group, and I always do really well, even against like the top 5 players in our state. I'll do well as long as we're not in tournament. Mm-hmm. But if it's ever during a tournament, because there's just pressure there. Like, it's not like anybody's expecting me to win.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it always feels like you have like something to prove.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I'll get so nervous that like, I half the time, even right now, I'm skipping a Smash tournament to do this just because it's so nerve-wracking for me. Mm-hmm. Like, the idea of having to perform and knowing that even if I give it my all, it might not work out for me and probably won't work out for me because that's when I'm at like my lowest is whenever I get nervous. Mm-hmm. So like the stage fright anxiety thing, I totally get. That's always been a big issue for me, especially all the time. Just it's been there.
Like, but yeah, that's kind of like the struggles that we've had with this channel really so far. And then I guess we kind of already moved on to finding the comfort zone, but that's when like it took us a little bit. Like it's been 6 months since the idea and the channel has actually been created. It's been 5 months since the first video is up. But it's taken us this long, and we're still probably not all the way there yet. We're probably doing some stuff, probably not the best way we could be doing.
Oh yeah, there's so much room for improvement.
Well, one of the problems is me and Seth are both starting college. Like Seth starts college next week. I start college in 2 weeks. I move out next week. Like I have 9 days left here in this house, and then I move in, and like I'm paying electric bills now. I'm paying water bills and stuff like that. And it's like, we're at this huge moment in our lives, which is like, it's just this huge change from you're going from like where you're dependent on your parents to where you're still dependent, but you're more independent.
It's like it's the legitimate transition from teenage to adulthood.
Exactly.
And like we started this channel at an awkward time for both of us, just because we're both moving forward in our lives.
Yeah. And it was like senior year during finals is when we started this. Like, during the first year or the first semester finals, and so like. We were going to shoot, and then we just didn't shoot. We put it off for like a month, and then we shot 2 videos that one day. We edited them and uploaded them the next week. And then we kind of shot sparsely, randomly. Like, there was no schedule. At first, we did have a schedule. We were like, every single Monday we're going to upload. And then...
That's whenever we screwed up our qualities, because we would force ourselves...
We would rush.
Because we both have busy schedules, even still.
Yes.
And so we'd have like an hour and a half to shoot, and we'd get together... And we'd be like, all right, man, this video is going to be great. We got to knock this out right now. Mm-hmm. And we would rush ourselves through the entire thing and mess up everything along the way.
And, like, the video that we're talking about is editing in real life. And, like, I wrote it the night before. It was, like, 1 a.m. before on a school night. I was very rushed, but I was like, we have to shoot. Because
exactly.
We got to get this
video done. We got to get it there
done.
one day.
And it's a good concept, and we may end up reshooting it one day.
It really is a good concept. It was just like, because of the whole idea of rushing and like us trying to force ourselves to get...
And not inviting people to help. That was
we were trying to do it alone too. We already brought that up, but we needed help, and we just didn't want to accept it. And so with an hour and a half to shoot, we shot it all, and we did finish it, but like 3 of the cuts didn't even have our quality mic over top of it. We didn't have good audio. We messed up color correction.
Yeah, the sun fucked us over.
It's because we kept trying to color correct. Like, it was whenever we were learning how your camera works and, like, the manual controls for it. And, like, some shots would look, like, really red and some would be blue. One was, like, legitimately yellow just all the way.
Yeah, I noticed that,
Like, each different shot, every cut would look just so awkward and out of place.
We didn't follow any of the rules that we had followed before. Like, we usually follow the 180 rule, and then we make sure, like, when the characters talk, we don't, like, what we do is, like, when there's a conversation on the screen, we'll have the conversation, but we'll film one person. And then we'll flip it and refilm it for the other person's view and then have the conversation. That time we didn't do that.
Yeah. It's that's like a general rule of shooting skits.
And it was just super awkward. And, like, I was in New York on a class trip, and Seth texted me. He was like, listen... And he listed all of the problems with it, and I was like, you know what, you're completely right. I went back and I watched it, and I was like, yeah, I'm not. It was the first video that we made that, like, I wasn't
excited about going up.
Yeah, I wasn't not proud of it. I was just not. I was like, all right, this is going up. And as soon as you get to that point, you're like, oh, you shouldn't be doing this channel like that. You need to fix that.
You'll start to beat yourself up over things that went wrong in a video that we honestly should have just scrapped at the beginning. Because before it went up, I remember we always have like a little period where we'll watch and then go back through and edit any mistakes that we found.
We didn't do that time, I think.
We put it up for like an hour before we uploaded it, right? And then we both just kind of talked about it and like, I think that it looks okay and then we should just keep it.
Yeah.
And like, it wasn't like, usually every time we finish, we'll be like, all right, I'm really excited about this. I think this could be the best one. Just no matter what, we'll always be so happy going into it. And for this one, we already felt weird.
That whole day, I just felt tired.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was just like, all right, let's just get this done. I got to go to practice.
We've got to do this.
And it felt like a job at that point. And whenever something feels like a job, it's not fun.
I was at work whenever you texted me about it with the draft thing too, so I had to like literally sneak out in the back of the warehouse where I work at just to like look at it and watch it like awkwardly, and I was like, all right, looks good. We should just go with it, I guess.
And that was that, we realized we messed up, and that's why every video
just been
since
forced
then,
out.
Yeah, it had been forced out. And then like that's when we realized if we're just ourselves, that's when we create the better content. Like this podcast, we've had these conversations before. We just felt like, honestly, if we record them, it would sound good on a podcast.
It would sound okay if people were to listen to this.
We were talking before this, I was like, actually, you know what? We should probably just wait for the podcast because we were having a good conversation. I was like, hang on, let's wait a second.
Yeah, because we can just talk about, like, random, mundane bullshit, and, like, it'll come across... I guess we both think a lot about things, and so sometimes it'll just come out well. Mm-hmm. At least I hope. That sounds arrogant. Yeah. We both are just like, we're pretty fucking awesome. And every time that we talk, it's just like a fucking movie just got written. So we're going to talk about that. You guys should listen to us.
But so anyway, let's just segue on over to our third little thing.
Oh, the plans for the future.
Some bigger plans because we're nearing the end of the podcast now. So we've come up with some big plans. Like I said, we're both going to college. I'm moving, but with this transition, although there's some hardships to it, there's a lot of more opportunities.
Yeah, and it was in the whole process of moving in and both of us going to college that Jeffrey came up with a concept for this almost reality style skit /
like the Office
TV show-esque. Yeah, it's like
it's looking to modern day, but like
it's like the same vein as The Office, Parks and Rec, and shows like Zach Stone. Where
like it shows regular life, but it will kind of exaggerate them. I guess you could say like exaggerate them. I mean, it'll like obviously we're not actually who we are on that show. Like Seth's character is not at all like Seth in real life. My character is not at all like me in real life.
I'm gonna be like I guess arrogant, kind of pompous. Exactly. Don't really pay attention to anybody.
I myself just. Like, I try to be, like, the star of the show.
Yeah.
Is what it is. And, like, I try to make jokes that aren't funny. And some could say that is like me in real life.
No, don't do that.
No, but, but that's what it is. And, like, this is our first time writing characters for each other. And, like, this is our first time writing something serious. And, like, I don't know how long this will go on. Personally, for me, I see it going for 10 episodes right now. I don't At least really
we should have, like, a test period of just a few episodes and see how it goes.
If it does good... We'll keep it going.
Yeah.
However, 10 episodes is what we're shooting for right now.
Yeah.
And we're still writing it right now, and we're not going to shoot it for at least another month or two.
Until we get everybody on board with it too. Because another thing that I'm excited about this with is, we've talked about how we've kind of had issues with accepting help before, but with this thing in particular, we're really going to have like the entire, like almost a crew of just our friend group. Like so many people are going to be involved with the making of this. Should we drop the name or? Do you want to keep that?
I want to keep the name. I
do
want to keep the name. But we have a cameraman on standby that he's one of our friends. We have an animator for like the intro that we're trying to figure out what we're doing for it.
We're gonna have actual get-togethers where we're all
all
of our friends are funny. Most of them are actually pretty funnier than us.
Yeah, so our friends are going to rip on us for this podcast because we've talked about certain ones and then told other ones like, yeah, they're all right.
No, they all know that they're great. They should anyway. Just I feel like we kind of give off that impression like, hey, you guys are better than us. Just I don't know. We always beat ourselves up and pump them up usually, and they should know that they are super funny. I tell every single time one of them makes a joke, I usually, because I just can't help but tell them, God, like, I'm not even complimenting them. It's like, almost like, just, God, how do you do that?
Yeah.
Like, why are you so good at this? And so, like, having them there, it's going to be really cool.
And, like, that's the thing, is, like, we're bringing our girlfriends into the stories where we have subplots. Like, we have the overall plot, then we have subplots, characters. Like, we have characters that aren't even us are going to have stories and stuff like that, you know? And so it's just going to be a huge adventure, I guess you could say.
There's going to be so much creative expression involved, and that's probably what I'm the most excited about. Just like everybody, like I kind of mentioned hive mind, not thinking alike, but everybody's buzzing with different ideas. If we can do this right, this reality show-esque skit/episode format thing that we're going to do for Almost Handsome, if this can be done correctly, then all of those creative ideals and minds could just form into this one beautiful thing. And it's so exciting to think about. Like, if everything goes right.
I think it'll definitely be a very quality production. Because we were going to buy a new camera for it. I don't think I've ever talked to you about this. I don't think we need to do that. Because a new camera would be nice. But for a channel with 51, thank you for 50, by the way.
Yeah.
For a channel with 51 subscribers, the camera we're looking at was like $600. And it's like... Obviously, I want to be able to one day say, all right, you know what? We have enough subscribers. We have enough people who want our content that we need to upgrade it. But as for right now, it's like we have to keep ourselves in that boundary because it's like, oh, let's do this and that and this. But that's like that costs like $1,000 to do. So
we can't get too overzealous with a budget yet. Not until we have an audience.
We don't even have a budget right now.
We've just dropped like, hey, let's both go together and get a mic and camera. And that's really all we've paid for, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the only thing we've paid for. Is like in like the first. Like, we have 2 skits, and I don't know when we're shooting, because, like, and you talked to me about this.
The 2 that are just slightly higher production value?
They're just slightly higher production. Well, 3, actually, I think, because it's the Jeopardy one.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Jeopardy.
But, anyway, so, like, we have these ideas, and, like, for 2 of them, we have to use my green screen and stuff like that, and then we're going to have, like, a cameraman. We're going to have to actually have costumes, which are going to cost money.
Also, I'm going to have to write music for at least one of them, and sound design and stuff is going to be an issue for the other one.
That's going to take a little
All of these, like, the higher production value skits, they just take longer, but we know that they're going to be better.
Right now, the only thing that we need right now is, like, an audio thing. Because right now we record the audio through your phone. And for some reason that
the app is it's so funny.
The app is so poorly designed, you know.
It's like it works, but only about 50% of the time. So like every single time we shoot any skit and we record the audio, we have to instantly stop and then go make sure that it lines up and that it didn't just because sometimes it'll just drop audio right in the middle for no reason.
Yeah.
We need to get
just an audio recorder.
Yeah, I forget what they're called, but the external
recorder. Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
They're like $100,
but it'll be useful for things like this, and you can use it on 2F and split between us. It probably won't be that bad.
No. That's really about it. That's all that we really have for this podcast.
We should, if they've made it this far for some reason, then we should definitely thank them for listening and also for subscribing at all, because this is like something that we've both wanted to do for a very long time, like we've talked about already, and seeing it happen in real time and the building of your channel and the building of an actual audience is so exciting.
Oh yeah, for sure. This podcast right now is so far one of my favorite things we've ever done for this channel, just because it's so different than what we usually do.
Yeah.
And we're not acting, we're not shooting, we're not doing anything. We're just talking, and like this is us, like.
It's very natural.
For those of you who are not our friends who are subscribed, which there's a decent amount of you all, but a lot of you guys are our friends.
Yeah.
For those of you who like don't know us, this is just us. Like we're just normal people. I think we are. And so that really does it for this episode 1 of our own podcast. So
what are we gonna? The Almost Cast or the Handsome Cast?
The Handsome Cast. That's
pretty handsome.
So yeah. So anyway, guys, thank you all so much for listening to this.
Thanks
it means a lot to us.
Also, thank you for 50.
Yes.
And stay tuned for what we've got coming, because like we said, those higher production value skits, a couple of the little ones you're used to thrown in between, and then our big project coming up in the future. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you later.
Bye.